Welcome back, gents. Here's my 6-arc platform, and here is going to be the beginnings of my hunting load development. I'm testing some bullets from Speer today. I have their Grand Slams, and then I also have their boat tail, I almost said hollow point, but their soft point bullet, both 100 grains. We are using Reloder 15.5 for starting powder. And then we're also going to be testing BLC2. These should be below maximum charges, because otherwise this is extrapolated data. I believe I used the load data from the Hodgdon online reloading center for the nozzler partitions, because that bullet shape is the most like that with the flat base. We'll see how it goes. Some quick notes, these seated perfectly fine. These ones, however, did not. These are definitely compressed loads. Not only are these ones coming out seated further, but we're having some issues with neck tension by virtue of a bad lot of bullets. I have some footage I'll have to input now. Gentlemen, we may have a SNAFU here. Observe. Yeah, that's not good. At first I thought it was because my neck tension was too light, which is some of the case, and you'll notice that the ones that are my lightest charges are down deeper. The ones with my heavier charges are a little bit further out, but observe. We may have received a poor lot of bullets. But observe, we may have received a poor lot of bullets. There we go. 2, 4, 2. This is undersized. Furthermore, look near the edge there. Let me try to get out of the shadow. The base of the bullet. You can see where there's almost like a type of ring. Do you see it now? Maybe I'll have to take a picture. There we go. You can see a ring kind of right there where it's bulged from manufacture. Not all of them have that. I guess what I'm trying to say is that's... Oh, this one does too. You can actually see it a little bit better. Either way, this is not a feature of this bullet usually. So this is just a poor batch. How unfortunate. Okay, just for funsies, I grabbed some of my other Speer bullets. So this is 22 caliber, so they're going to be 224. You can see here 224, pretty much right on the dot. And also, just to show you guys, reset my calipers, and pretty much right on 0. So this, they're measuring true. So yeah, these, grabbed the wrong ones. This Grand Slam box I have, for whatever reason, they're out of spec. So that's kind of weird. We're still going to see how well they do, because thankfully, this one right here is the only one that I can grab and turn around. And yeah, it's going to be higher. A couple of these are going to be higher. So we're just going to have some mulligans, some called shots. The rest of them, we're going to see how well they do. And if anything, I just want to see how well the pressure curve treats us. Anyway, see you guys out at the range. But otherwise, I have fired undersized bullets and military surplus rounds before, rifles before, because let's face it, sometimes they're made cheap in lots, not necessarily for precision. Who knows, maybe these will still do good. We're still going to test them, if only because I loaded them up. Anyway, enough babbling. The wind's probably really annoying, so let's get the shooting. Okay, gents, you ready for the big reveal? 1, 2, 3. There you go. So for a bad lot of bullets, that's actually not bad, and any one of these, including this one, this 2.5-inch group, would be acceptable for my hunting purposes. 100 yards is going to be the absolute furthest shot that I have to make. Chances are it's going to be somewhere between 20 and 50 yards. But we're getting too far ahead of ourselves. Let's go from minimum to maximum charge. Let's do some group interpretation. So this is fine, nothing to write home about. We got this one that dropped out below, some horizontalness. This, the point of impact is dropping down out below, and the group is about the same size. But then here, our middle charge, 26 grains. We have a grotesque shift in the point of impact up. And that's really worrying, even though this seems to be, actually this is the best group of the day. But the point to impact shift is concerning because look at this. This is definitely our scatter node. So this is probably the start of the scatter node. Or one could say this is the start of the scatter node because look at this. Where these two hit correspond vaguely with there, and these two with there. So this is the worst of both worlds. Definitely the scatter node. Then here, things appear to tighten up. And what was special about shot number 4, I can't hold up 4 fingers, but what was special about shot number 4 when I was showing you guys the strings of my loaded ammo? Shot number 4 of our maximum charge, we could twirl around in the case. This is shot number 4, believe it or not. Now we could speculate. We could speculate that it would have ended up here. That would be great. I'm going to have to retest and especially put it over a chronograph because extra speed is nice to have for a hunting ground, and more accuracy never hurts either. But like said, the maximum shot, the maximum range that I'm going to need for a shot is going to be 100 yards. This scope alone is overkill for that. Chances are my shot is going to be between 20 to 50, so honestly I'm probably going to have to sight this in for 50 yards once everything's said and done. Anyway, my rifle's probably cooled off by now. Let's go test those hot cores. Right, now we're going to be looking at the 100 grain boat tail soft point hot core bullet by Speer. And the bottom one here, this is going to be Reloder 15.5. So from lowest to highest. Quick note, there's some vague similarities, actually more than vague similarities between the Grand Slams and the hot cores, because the third group ends up being the best overall, and then the second to last group ends up being the scatter node, which is very interesting, and then the last charge, the highest charge, has a drastic shift to the left. Also note that even though these are both centered to the same, I'm sorry, I misspoke, even though I'm using the same sight-in differences with my scope, these are definitely hitting a lot higher. So the harmonics are definitely different, at least with the barrel, but that's probably related to speed. Anyway, lightest charge, and 4-shot groups. So we got 3 up there, drops 1 down below. The next charge, we have an overall shift of impact up, especially when you take that flyer into account. We stay pretty high here, but things are getting vertical and having a little bit of a drop. Here, things just scatter out in some horizontalness. And then finally, well, look here. It's definitely sticking more to the left. It's going more to the left, but we're dropping back down to where this one was hitting. So all this is harmonically induced. It's not me. Anyway, and then going up to the group shot by BLC2. There we go. This top string of shots here. So again, lightest to heaviest. Here, lightest charge. We have this one where we seem to be consistently throwing one out the bottom with all the powder charges. That's interesting. It makes me wonder if maybe this is slightly below what should be the minimum charge and we're just getting a very inconsistent burn. Then we have a shift to the impact to the right and things make an interesting little crescent. Things move up, group size stays about the same, kind of circular. Things stay roughly about the same. It's actually a little bit to the left more. But otherwise, it almost looks like we got a core group and then 2 outliers. Then lastly, our final charge, we're switching to some verticality here. It's like almost a very slight diagonal with an outlier there. Okay, so where to from here? Well, I can tell you, just speaking generally, the groups or the strings that I trust the most, actually, is right here with BLC2. I feel like I should select this right there and start doing some seating depth tests. So maybe that's what I'll do next, and I need to remember that this is with my Hornady brass. After that, I want to retest, here we go, the Grand Slams at the maximum charge, even though this could be a bad plan. We're going to chronograph them, but also maybe we can see if we can do some quality control, prevent some flyers, and see if maybe we can get 1-inch groups. Yeah, none of these are very impressive, but again, we're going for something that's going to be, I know is going to be temperature stable, which Reloder 15 is actually really great for that. But BLC2, with this wide of both a vertical node, but a point to impact node, I mean, I trust that. I do. Maybe it's best that I sit, think about it, and talk about it at the bench. Welcome back, gents. Here's my 6 arc build with my Shaw custom barrel. We're going to be taking out hunting this year, as ridiculous as that sounds. I've replaced the muzzle brake with a thread protector, and we're really hunting and pecking. We're more of just seeing what works. So here's the powders. We have Accurate XMR 4064, going from 25 to 27 grains, Staball 6.5, 28 to 30, and Winchester 760, 27 to 29 grains. I also brought out a Reloder 15.5 one, just a single one to chronograph to see where that lies and compare it to the Grand Slams that I did in the previous part. But anyway, so don't use this load data. This is near the upper end of things, and also it's extrapolated data. I did take the load data from 105 and 107 grain bullets, so it might be a little bit light, but it still is near the upper end, and you never know how these bullets might react to the pressures within these loads. So who knows, they might be a little bit too spicy for the action. We'll find out. I feel pretty safe doing that, but that doesn't necessarily mean you should with your rifle. So if you're going to repeat that, do so at your own risk. Enough yapping, let's get to shooting. Okay, these last 3 load developments we're going to have to do with voiceover because it was getting late and it was getting cold. You can tell by the photo that I had to take a picture with the flash on. Anyway, let's start with XMR 4064, and we're doing very gross measurements, 25, 26, and 27 grains. From left to right, lightest to heaviest charge. 25 grains actually might have been a slightly too light. I'm wondering if it was a very inconsistent burn, because that's a terrible group. That's like a 3-inch group. Probably just shy, but it's awful. When we get to 26 grains, it looks like things are kind of pulling to the upper right, and also things are pulling together, but we're not quite there yet. I see where there's a core group and then 2 outliers that were kind of spat out. However, in a way, it's a little bit of a theme, because look at our last group. We have 3 overlapping hits, but then 2 spat out outliers, for lack of a better term. Part of me wonders if it might have been because 27 grains were starting to approach a compressed load. They were somewhat compressed, but not fully compressed. I didn't think that they affected the seating depth too much. Who knows? Maybe that'd been it. I'd have to retest. I kind of think that 26.5 grains might have been a good middle ground, but also I can tell you the velocity of these weren't anything to really write home about. Anyway, let's move on to our next strings. Staball 6.5 has been a wonderful powder for 6-arc. It's a little bit gassy, but it usually produces some pretty decent groups, and in this case, it's wonderfully easy to read. So again, left to right, lightest to heaviest charge, and it's the middle set of groups. The far left charge, lightest charge, is nothing to write home about, but it's not terrible. It's about 1.5 inches. A little bit scattered all over the place. The next charge, 29 grains, it's more or less horizontal, a little bit more to the left. But note that one outlier that dropped out to the lower left. At first I thought, oh man, I threw that out. But no, look at the highest charge, 30 grains to the right. That is where the harmonics are going. More to the left and also a little bit down. So none of these are, again, anything to write home about, but I just love how easy it was to read what the barrel is doing with this load workup. And by the way, the velocity is around 2,500 feet per second. Lastly, Winchester 760. What do we have to say about it? I'm going to give the weirdest, most backhanded compliment that I'm going to give of all of these. I like that I'm not going to have to do any more testing with it. That seems weird to say, right? Well, let's take a look at the groups. Again, left to right, lightest to heaviest. I see that the general trend for the point to impact is going a little bit up and a little bit to the right. And for a 3-grain coverage, it actually doesn't move too much. It's actually wonderfully consistent, and they're all more or less in the same area. Yes, we can nitpick, because the lowest charge is kind of doing something similar that XMR 4064 did, which it's kind of scattered all around, and it's definitely to the lower left. But honestly, if I were to load these up again, I'd be confident knowing where the bullet's going to go, and that's all I need is just dependable accuracy, dependable precision. So yeah, it could be that this will be the final bullet combination and powder charge that I pick. I don't know. What do you guys think?